I will call to order this meeting of the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee for Monday, March 21st. As a reminder to the audience and the committee that this meeting is being recorded. We'll do the roll call. I don't see Dave. Jess?
Here.
June?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
Mike? Let's see, Randy? Susan? Not here. Tom?
Here.
And I am here. Our next scheduled meeting will be on Monday, April 11th at 7 p.m. First on the agenda is a public hearing. So we will open our public hearing for school choice and review the school choice openings for 2022-23 school year. And Superintendent Morgan, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So everything should be in the packet. I can go over school by school if that's helpful. So for Ashby, we have for school choice openings, 0 in kindergarten, 0 in 1, 8 in grade 2, 0 in grade 3, and 0 in grade 4. So that's 8 school choice slots at Ashby Elementary for grade 2. For Spalding, we do not have any school choice openings. For Varnum Brook, for kindergarten 0, first grade 1, second grade 0, third grade 1, fourth grade 0, for a total of 2, 1 at first grade and 1 at third grade. And then at the middle school level, Hawthorne Brook 0 in grade 5, and then 5 in grade 6, 7, and 8. And then at Nissitissit 0 in grade 5, 3 in grade 6, 3 in grade 7, 2 in grade 8, for a total of 9. And then at the high school, we have 0 for grade 9, 5 for grade 10, 5 for grade 11, and 0 for grade 12, for a total of 10 at the high school.
And Superintendent, just for the benefit of everybody, could you just remind folks what drives these numbers? Like what dictates a space being available versus not?
Sure, just so it's basically based on class size throughout the district. We're obviously not looking to accept enough students to where we would have to add a section because we would not have the funds to cover that section. So just looking at where there are some class size openings to maintain a good class size. And again, the district does get $5,000 per student that comes in. And we can go up on the numbers, so we can actually increase our numbers, but we can't go down. So if at some point in time, we said 0 in kindergarten, just because that is still kind of an unknown. Even just based on the people that have registered, it's still not definite. So if by chance we do have openings at some point, we can revisit that once we get a little deeper into the spring, but we can't decrease the school choice openings. So right now, for instance, grade 2 in Ashby, just using Ashby as an example, we can't all of a sudden say we only have 6 openings. If we vote in 8, we have 8 openings. But if we do have openings in kindergarten, we can go from 0 to another number if I bring it back to the committee. And we vote to increase school choice. We just can't decrease it.
Thank you. Susan?
I would definitely like to be able to have the opportunity to increase the number if we have a sibling situation. If there's a second grader at an elementary school and they have a kindergarten sibling, and it turns out we do have space, I think it would be nice to give that family that opportunity.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then I'll take a motion that the school committee approve the 2022-23 school choice numbers as presented.
So moved.
I will second.
I'll give that to Jess, I guess. All right, any other questions or comments on the school choice? All right, Jess,
Yes.
June,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tom?
Yes, sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you. And I will vote yes, so that is unanimous. Thank you. And now I'll take a motion to close the public hearing for school choice.
So moved.
Second.
Susan and Lisa. Jess,
Yes.
June,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So the public hearing on school choice is now closed. We'll proceed back to our general meeting. And next we have the consent agenda. We have approval of minutes, accounts payable warrants, payroll warrants, and I believe that's supposed to be a $6,000 donation to the district from the Youth Lacrosse Association.
That's correct.
So moved.
Second.
Tom, Lisa, Susan, do you have a question on the consent agenda, or is your?
Yeah, I was just curious. Usually we put field trips on the consent agenda. Were these separated out for a particular reason, or just we've gone away from that? Oh, there's no discussion on the consent agenda. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's a valid question. It was probably just an oversight. I think because we started doing it and then we hadn't originally done it, and then we started doing it, and it's probably just a miss on my part.
Yeah, I think, Craig, I think because of COVID, we pulled them out, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think next time we can look at putting them back in if it's nothing controversial. Absolutely. June, do you have a question on the consent agenda?
Yeah, just an edit on the minutes that let's see. It was a vote to send the letter to the towns. I was written in as a no vote, but I was a yes vote for that. I was a no on the budget, but to just make that update on the minute.
So June, just so I'm clear, you were in as a no vote for the letter, and it should be a yes vote.
I was written in as a no, but I voted yes on the letter.
Okay,
Yes. Yep.
Susan,
I'll make that
are you gonna-
change.
Thank you.
I forgot that I had, thank you for bringing up those minutes. But I wanted to pull those minutes, Craig, because
I put some comments in there that fixed the order issue, Susan.
I didn't go
I don't-
back and revisit because I didn't understand that.
I don't know if everybody can see them, to be honest with you, or if those just go back to Robin, but
Maybe if I didn't know, I didn't relook.
okay. I took the vote on the budget, which was listed, I think, first, and I just moved it to be under the discussion. As I suggested that edit, I should say. I wasn't able to make the actual change.
Okay, yeah, my basic comment was just kind of putting things in the order that at least I had remembered.
Yep.
Things happening that day. So I don't. So I make a motion that we pull those minutes and look at them next time.
Okay, that was the March 7th, correct? Not because the 22nd, I think, was that joint meeting, if I remember right.
Yeah, it wasn't the joint meeting, it was the meeting where we voted the budget. I'm pulling that up now so I can see, but yeah.
Okay. So then we can pull the March 7th minutes from the consent agenda.
That was my motion anyway. My amendment to the main motion. Sorry.
No worries. Does anybody object to pulling the minutes from the consent agenda, the March 7th minutes? All right.
Trying to get to the packet now.
So we will vote the consent agenda without the March 7th, 2022 minutes. Jess,
Yes.
June,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. So that's unanimous, and we will review the March 7th minutes at our next meeting. I did not see any public communications submitted for this meeting. Excuse me, I do not have a chairperson report at this time, so we'll move over to our student representative. And I believe I saw him on, yep. So Mr. Desjardins, if you're on, I said that right.
All right, thank you. I actually have a list of things to say this time, so I'm actually more organized than I have been the last few times. So, yeah, all right. So, last week it's been we've been pretty busy here at NM for like the past couple of weeks. Last week we had our big semi-formal. It was our first indoor dance in over 2 years, and we raised a whopping $4,000. So that was a great fundraising opportunity for all of us and for the student council. Let's see, on Friday, we had a dodgeball tournament at the gym run by the seniors. And that was fun. That was like a good school bonding thing. You got to quickly see who was good at dodgeball and who wasn't. So it turned into a bloodbath sometimes, and sometimes that was fun though. A couple nights ago, we had our big choir concert, our festival concert, and we got to test out the pieces that we will be singing at MICA, which is the big choir festival, in about a week. So that was that was fun, good turnout for that. And looking forward to the future, on Wednesday night, we have our big band festival concert. It's the school band will be performing there. That's the Wind Symphony, the Jazz Studies combos, the percussion ensemble, the Winter Guard, the winter percussion, and the jazz band. I know a lot of kids have been hard at work for that, so that should be a fun night. At the end of April, and this is kind of looking way into the future, but we have the school musical coming up. I know that once again, a lot of people have been working hard on that. So that's going to be great. We're doing Beauty and the Beast. And yeah, just a bunch of small things have been happening in the school. Like, I mean, in the cafeteria, we now have the round tables again, and it hasn't been there in 2 years. I know there's some small things, but we all really appreciate the administration for bringing those back. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I think that's it. That's all I have to say for now. Looking forward to the end of the year.
Thank you, Charlie. I actually have a question for you. So
Yeah.
you mentioned things like tables coming back and the whole list of events, dances, musical performances. How has that been kind of transitioning back to a sense of normalcy? How are you and the students doing with that?
Honestly, a lot of us at first, it was very strange, once again, to just be walking around the hallways and seeing each other without masks. But I think that we've all handled it really well. And we've been respectful of the people who are still not entirely comfortable with that yet and are still wearing masks. And then people who aren't wearing masks, we've all been doing very well together. It's been much more normal for the first time in a couple of years. So yeah.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Susan, you had a question?
I did. I'm hoping that the tables that are back for you are the ones with the wheelchairs.
They're regular cafeteria tables. They're not desks. So that's it's small. Yeah, it's small, but it's something that makes the students a lot more comfortable, I think.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm just hoping you guys are 100% like chairs that move and not those little discs you have to balance your butt on. So
Yeah, it's much more comfortable now. It's much less painful. Yes. Especially for the tall people. Yeah.
Yes, no, I think the chairs are a great thing to have in your commons. And if the students all enjoy that, there's plenty of tables with real chairs. Certainly advocate for making sure it's 100% that way.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
All
as
right.
always, Charlie, thank you. I really appreciate
Thanks,
your
Charlie.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, moving on, Superintendent.
I just have my agenda items as they appear later on as well.
All right. Moving right along, next up is the FY23 budget.
Is that my turn?
Yeah, we could go to you and whoever else wants to add.
Wants to add in. Well, we did have 2 finance meetings during this time, and the letter was sent out to the towns with an April 1st deadline to get back to us to what they would see like us to do, or their bottom line that they are willing to pay. And we want to hear from them. We emphasize that we really want to hear from the towns. We'd like to make it a partnership of working together and not an us versus them kind of situation. And then we do have a proposal ahead to readopt a budget. And I think you guys all have it in the packet. If you take a look, it's increasing the operational budget by 300,000. And then we're using 600,000 more of E&D. This was a vote in the finance committee of 3-1. And so if we want to make the motion, I can go ahead and do that, Craig. Or do you want?
No, I think if you want to make that
Somebody
motion, then
add.
we'll open it up for discussion. I think we did invite members. I think we invited the 3 town administrators, which I don't know if we've promoted them to speak yet, but we can open up that discussion if that's what we want to do. Susan, you have
Okay.
a question?
I reviewed the whole packet last night. Where is it?
It's under old business. If you look under there.
Old business FY23 budget.
Okay.
There's a
Oh,
few files in there.
why didn't I see that? Okay.
Because sometimes we're still adding things to the packet, and I was off Thursday and Friday, so as things came in those days, we've added. So you may not have seen it. You may have
Would
looked at
it be possible to send a note when things are added? Because Sunday nights when I review the packet and I assume, everything's there. Unless I see an email that would tell me otherwise, it'd be super helpful to me.
Sure, yeah, there's lots of
because-
things, they're updated,
Right.
especially with the budget stuff.
Because I'm working most of the day, Monday, and then I'm cooking dinner, and then I'm coming straight to this meeting. So I just don't keep checking. So it's really helpful if things get added for me, if you don't mind helping me out like that.
And our meeting was on Friday morning, Susan, as well. So there was a little bit of a delay with
Right,
things getting out.
right. No, I totally get that. I'm not expecting Robin to work all weekend long to try to get things happened on Friday evening. Just if I could just get a note that something was added would be super helpful. So
All right.
what
Ready
was
for the motion?
Sure.
Oops.
Okay. I feel unprepared. Go ahead.
Move that the school committee readopt an operational budget for FY 2023 of $53,590,628, an FY 2023 transportation budget of $3,982,859, FY 2023 debt service of $3,940,472, and to use these funds to calculate FY 2023 school assessments for member towns as required by statute. In addition, the committee authorized the use of $2,648,000 from the excess and deficiency account to offset the FY 2023 operational budget.
Before there's a second, Lisa, there's just 2, I think, corrections. I think you said 53,590,000 instead of.
Oh, 500. Would you like me to
509?
reread it?
Just the number, I don't think we need you to
Okay.
reread the whole motion. And then the 2 million from E&D, I think you said 2,648,000 instead of 645.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's
I
okay.
don't have my glasses. I've lost my glasses. So, okay. 53,509,628. That's for the operational budget. And then for excess and deficiency, 2,645,000. Did I get it right?
Thank you. Yes. Now we can take a second.
Second.
Thank you, Randy. All right, so now we'll open it up to discussion. Lisa, I don't know if you want to just give a bit of background on how we got to this point, and then we can take questions and comments from others.
With a lot of discussion on how to go about, we did, Randy did look through the budget extensively and sent a lot of questions on to Nancy and Brad, and they responded with how things are spent. And we talked about the stabilization account and how we wanted to use that more in the coming years and get away from using excess and deficiency funding to for our budget, for a revenue source for the budget. Anyone else have anything to add? I mean, it was a discussion. There was a few hours spent.
Yes, I'll help out, Lisa.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
No problem. So we did extensively look through the budget, trying to find any place that may have had some maybe some COVID money that we don't need for the coming year. We really didn't find any place. It's been pretty well picked over. So there really wasn't any savings without cutting anything. And nobody was in agreement, or everybody was in agreement that we would not cut anything from the budget as far as services for the students. Not being able to find any money where we can just trim what things might cost. We then started talking about E&D. I know the request from Pepperell was for $600,000 more. Everybody was a little bit apprehensive about using more E&D for the stated reasons that we've been saying all along, which is we're not going to have it's one-time money, and once it gets spent, if it doesn't get replenished, we don't have it for the budget next year, and the towns go up by that amount without us even having one dime more in our budget. So we're trying to be very, very cautious about not having a hit, pushing off a hit to the towns next year. With that said, I believe we have a refund from the collaborative coming in, and we did find a little bit of one-time money for the math and the ELA program, where it's only going to be in next year's budget, that we felt comfortable enough that we could put another $300,000 towards those costs. We also, like Lisa had said, talked about the stabilization account, and we had agreed that we're going to put another $300,000 of E&D, transfer that over to the stabilization fund. It's still savings. It's a mechanism that we can use for the budget in emergencies, which is why we wanted it in the stabilization fund. We didn't feel that was going to be a problem, and it was only going to help us if we have any issues with the budget.
And just for those listening, just I guess an overview of E&D. So the E&D, or excess and deficiency account, is both unanticipated revenues as well as unspent budget items. So it's a combination of the two. Last year, and I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but it was close to $1 million in excess revenue that came in that wasn't anticipated when we set the budget. So that goes into that fund. E&D is, in essence, our only reserve. So if there's something unexpected that happens during the year, I mean, that money would be there to cover something catastrophic. We have to go back to the town, so we have to go to town meeting to spend money that's in E&D. It's not just money that's floating around. We can just write a check on whim. So it has to be an amendment to our budget, which has to go to town meeting, pass 2 of the 3 towns, in order for us to use money that's in that E&D account. And again, it is money that's again unanticipated income, or there could be line items that we just didn't spend all the money on, whether there's resignations or materials didn't amount to as much as we needed, things like that. So I don't know, Nancy, Ms. Haynes, if there's anything to add to that. I just want to make sure people understand what E&D is and how it can actually be used.
No, thanks. Yeah, no, you pretty well covered it. It's really just funds that come in over our budgeted revenue and expenditures that we haven't expended. And it goes through a certification process at DOR, the Department of Local Services, and they review all the transactions and any deficits are subtracted from that, those types of things. But it's similar to a free cash certification process.
And then the stabilization fund that Randy referenced is a fund that we were able to establish last year, again, through town meeting votes in all 3 towns, that allows us to establish the fund, which we did. It currently has a $0 balance. This would be the first year that we're looking to fund that. And again, that would provide stabilization or reserves for the district, mainly for, Nancy, correct me, but I think it's mainly for capital type improvements and some other types of expenses. But again, it's not something we can just dip into on a whim.
You got it.
Thank you. June, I see you got your hand up.
Yes, so just to clarify, the 300,000 increase to the operating budget, that is just the money going into the stabilization fund, correct? It's okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly. And then also where we're readopting this now, but we've asked the towns to get back to us by April 1st. Is this something we're still looking at, and we're still potentially going to change this going forward, depending?
Yeah, I mean, this absolutely has to be a two-way dialogue. I think we've asked the towns for draft budgets, back of the napkin budgets, whatever, and have yet to receive that. So at this point, it's kind of hard to know what the specific target numbers are, where the opportunities are. So this number can always go down. I think the committee, as we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, felt it important to at least get a number out there, make sure we met deadlines for town meetings and things like that for the warrant articles. But we're continuing those discussions with finance committees, select board, town administrators, to see what opportunities exist to help them out with the budget situation. But we've got to know more about what the situation is to have those more intelligent discussions.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
This is Ross from Townsend. What budget information are you looking for from the town that we can help you with?
I think we're looking for draft budgets or whatever you guys have available. If you have a budget message or the budget's kind of like what we have been sharing through our budget summits. We want to have a similar conversation with each of the towns.
In my mind, it's not the line items that are important, which is why I haven't, asked to examine the school line items. It's the total assessment, and in our case, it's our ability to pay the total assessment. Townsend, at the moment, after a lot of cuts and revisions, is down to a $322,000 deficit. That's the number we need help to resolve. And we're looking at it a lot from the municipal side, but any assistance from the school on reducing that deficit will certainly be important as part of the solution.
Yep, that certainly helps for me anyway. I've not heard the 322 number before, so I don't know, Lisa, if you or the finance committee has, but that's new to me, and I appreciate you sharing that, Ross.
Well, and it's new. It changes weekly. I started off, a month and a half ago, we were $1 million deficit, and we got a break when we got the schools, solid numbers on the 15th. That helped, but we've been cutting back and whittling things down as much as we can. And I can send you our budget, but I don't know that that's what that will accomplish. Does that mean the school's going to come through and question why, this item is a 10% increase and why another item's at 5%? I mean, I don't want to get into that detail in the school budget because I'm looking for the total assessment number and hoping that the school folks will figure out best how to spend that money versus a line by line discussion.
Susan, you have a question?
Yeah, I think, Ross, I think what Craig was saying was, I don't think we want a line by line budget and nitpick. And I think we were just curious about kind of the budget message. And, similar to what the district has shared.
Yeah, I think last year was
Paragraphs, sentences, bullet points, not numbers. Just so we can, I think that's was the request. We have no intention of looking line by line and criticizing numbers. I know we both do that work and respect that each other is each doing that due diligence or whatever the word is on our budgets. So.
June?
I just wanted to note that Christine Lindberg is our Ashby Town Administrator, and she's had her hand up on the attendee list. So she's not on as a panelist at this time, but
I just moved her over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have questions, comments? All right, Andrew.
Hi, good evening, school committee. It's Andrew McLean from the town of Pepperell. I want to say a couple of things quickly. I'm not sure if this is the time for Craig. I wasn't sure of the whole format of this, but want to sort of echo Ross's point. I can send you my budget right now and it looks nice and neat, but internally it's a little bit of a mess. We won't have all of our revenue figures until March 31st, for instance. We have most of them at this point, but as Ross said, the numbers change daily and we're literally still in that situation. I had a capital program committee meeting just before this meeting and have made some decisions about capital planning as a result of that. So I'm happy to share our budget in any level of detail, but I agree with the comments made already that we shouldn't be looking at things on a line item basis, but more understanding the broad needs of both the schools and the town side. And what's changed dramatically in Pepperell or in Ashby or Townsend and at the district level so that we can understand each other's needs. You'll have my budget shortly. The request was to have it to you by April 1st. And my last presentation to FinCom is the 24th. I'd be happy to send it to you before then. That's this Thursday, but I'd rather wait until then because the budget, except for those last two revenue figures, should be locked down by Thursday night. So that's the only reason you haven't seen it from me already. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm really happy to hear the conversation about your stabilization fund. I was in favor of this a year ago before it came to our town meeting. And I think it's the right way for the school to be planning for a rainy day and not be budgeting so that you always have free cash or E&D rather available in case you need it. I know there's a lot of moving parts in your budgets as there are in ours. And a stabilization fund is a great way to sort of respectfully be prepared for it instead of having these kind of debates about, why do you keep returning more than 5% to your E&D every year? Your budget must be fat. That's a conversation I hear from our FinCom and others on the Pepperell side. I support what the schools are doing. I understand it's complicated and painful, but it's tough to answer that question when we keep seeing that E&D number rising every year. So having it in stabilization, I think, is a terrific solution. And I'm a big advocate for keeping very little in E&D. If you feel like it's excess, push it into your stabilization. Otherwise, return it to the budget. That's me. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Randy?
Andrew, I just wanted to clarify, and for everybody else who is listening on the free cash, it seems to be a common misnomer that our E&D is the same as a town's free cash, and there are differences to that. The stabilization fund is for capital stabilization, so having money in there will help us if we have a capital project, if a boiler goes, if there's some other need in a capital area that surprises us, and then we should have the money there to cover it without having to go back anywhere. And that's a great thing, and I'm certainly in support of it, and I think it's going to help us going forward. But our E&D is not the equivalent of a town's free cash. So we can keep up to 5% of our budget in there, according to the state. But the towns have to allocate that. We can't just say we want to have it, it's just slightly different. So I agree with you that we can't be, necessarily having that rise up and up and up. We do give back anything over the 5%, and I don't think we should be using it for the budget. But we do need to keep some in our E&D for things that come up in the middle of a year that aren't capital. So if we have other issues with personnel that we have expenses, or something with budget, or with the books or computers that's not capital, it doesn't qualify for that, is we do need to have some reserves for those other emergencies.
Perhaps an emergency would be, Nancy, you could correct me, a 9C cut.
Thank you, Susan. Those are the types I was trying to think of. So if we have other, revenue cuts from the state mid-year, we have special education costs that are a surprise. We need that E&D for those types of surprises as well.
Our revenue is also in flux. Well, we won't probably hear till July, right? What our state revenue will be.
And I think what, in the broad sense, that we've been looking for is not, I think, the intent of like looking at the town budgets and the towns looking at our budgets. We tend to get into the let's solve the FY23 or the current year's issues, and we've got to take a step back and again look at each other's budgets on where there are opportunities long term. I mean, this is continuing to be a problem year after year after year. What do we do to join forces and really tackle this holistically? So it's not about how much are you spending on a particular line item, but more what are your revenue sources? What are ours? What is influx? Where have we struggled? Can we partner together, go to the state, seek additional funding and aid, and whatever those opportunities happen to be? And I know there's groups off doing some of that now, which is absolutely fantastic. We've reignited the discussions around transportation and how that's funded. So those are the types of things I think we're looking for, something more holistic long-term, and get out of the, let's wait to the last minute, let's get the numbers from the town and figure out what adjustments we make just to get us over the hump to the next town meeting. And then we kind of drop it. So I think that's the level of partnership we want to have. It's kind of why we started the budget summits in October. So we can have those higher level meetings and get the gut feels from the towns, like, hey, what is your growth looking like? What do you anticipate major lines going up or revenue sources changing? Again, you may not know them, you may be 50% off, but at least it's something where we can start a discussion again, so we can partner together and try to make some headway on this issue that keeps rearing its head every single year. So that's kind of the intent with that. Susan?
Would it be fair to say that what you're suggesting is the way a single town school district works, where the school district is another department and all the departments are working together to balance the needs for the taxpayers, but we're four entities.
Yeah,
it's a little more complicated.
It's more complicated, yeah, but I mean, maybe not look at it like a department, but absolutely work together and see how the puzzle pieces fit together. How does Ashby's, Townsend's, Pepperell's, and the district situation all fit together to drive success for the community? And we struggle to do that. I mean, simple things like getting attendance at a boring budget meeting in October. I mean, I get it, we're all busy, but if we're all serious about trying to make headway on this, we've got to band together. I mean, we're going to have the same discussion next year if we don't, because it's the same discussion we had last year and the year before that. So I think that's, for me personally, that's what I'm looking for is what can we all do to let the state know the situation we're in and see what help we can get. Ross?
Where do we stand on transportation funding from the state? I hear rumors that they're going to increase it this year, maybe significantly.
We'll defer to Nancy. Do you have a latest update?
Yeah, I did update revenue projection for the transportation for this budget that's being approved tonight, and used 90% reimbursement rate. That's not actually happened yet, so it's a little bit of hedging our bets. The other issue that is still pending out there is what inflation rate they're going to use to calculate the minimum contributions, the foundation budget. And if that changed, that would change the allocations in general, but I'm hoping that we have enough flexibility with what we've done to be able to absorb that.
When do you expect the state will give you final numbers?
I mean, it goes through the House and the Senate and the House of Representatives, and they each come out with their version of it. I haven't seen a Senate version yet. I'm not exactly sure what their date is. Over the next few months, we should get the Senate version, and then it goes to the House, and then there's a conference committee. It usually doesn't get finalized till after July 1st. But I'm using that 90% right now. And I was in a webinar with a couple of the representatives that said that was, they spoke confidently that would be the rate of reimbursement.
Is that the number that was sent in the assessment letter? Does that include the 90% or not?
No, they're revoting adopting a budget tonight would include that 90%. I used 80% in the one that we already had done so far. The governor did 75%, just to give you, so we're using more than the governor's budget by significant, which is, again, it's a risk. We don't have final numbers yet, but I think I'm pretty confident with the way they were speaking about the regional transportation that it's going to go up. And I see Brad nodding his head, so he must be hearing it as well.
I think having the transportation funding go up is fantastic. My concern is if we don't know that number until after town meetings, then we are potentially voting on a higher school assessment, and maybe we won't like the results at that time. I mean, so if there's any way to get those final numbers or a good estimate before town meeting, then Townsend folks, and I assume the other two towns, will be voting on what could be the real numbers. If you lower the assessment after we voted it, great, but that doesn't really help resolve this year unless we have another town meeting. So, because we will have to make cuts. And that's where I think that the concept, if you can anticipate those cuts and use E&D as the stopgap, and then lower the budget, and then you essentially replenish E&D when you get those cuts, then we've got something that we can really move forward with.
I'm muted. Sorry, Susan. Saying your name like 5 times, like
That's okay. Ross, what you're probably not hearing or seeing from us is the motion we just made is going to lower the Townsend assessment by $145,386. So, okay, so if we vote yes tonight, that's how much it's going to get lowered to. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy, if there's an opportunity to lower it again, we will. I don't expect us to do that, but if we hear some crazy news from the state and they decide to get nutty and pass a budget when we need them to, instead of waiting until July, we'd have the opportunity to do that again if they gave us more money. But, you know, every year, as the towns do, we have to estimate our revenues and do the best we can. And, you know, deal with the consequences if we don't get what we're expecting. But we're not going to raise the assessments because we can't. Is that all true, Nancy?
Correct. The assessments can't go up. So if we don't get the 90% transportation reimbursement, then the district has to make an adjustment somewhere.
Right.
Andrew, something else?
Thank you, Craig. I think that what Ross brings up in these questions about when the state provides the funding is at the core of why the towns are interested in recommending that you use more E&D and not less. We've also been hearing that the state intends to increase the unrestricted local government aid. It's usually called UGA. And the transportation budget, I've also heard that, I actually heard 92%, but that was a few weeks ago. They're also intending to increase the Chapter 70 budget, similar to the UGA. Now, we don't know if that will actually happen, but if all 3 of those things happen, or any one of the 3, that money, as Nancy just mentioned, is not appropriated. It's just extra revenue, and it replenishes your E&D in the following year. It's part of why you have E&D each year, because we have these conversations every year, as Craig has stated. We restrict the budget as much as possible. The Senate and the House tend to provide a better budget than the governor offers in January. And that extra money is then available to the schools as E&D. So given how tight the budgets are in the district, it may make sense that this year, with an anticipation of excess government aid this year, replenishing the E&D that you put on the table, that this would be a good year to help out the towns that are struggling so much.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, any last comments before we vote? We've got quite a bit left. All right. So seeing none, this will be to readopt the budget as read by Lisa. Jess?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so that is unanimous.
All the assessments go down, not just Townsend, but since Ross was concerned, I did quick
Correct.
math there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Who did you have second that motion? Lisa moved it. Who seconded?
I had Randy.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, thank you, town administrators, for joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate you continuing to work with us on the budget.
Thank you. When will we get official notification of the new number?
Depends how quickly Nancy can type right now.
Yeah, I have to get the documents edited and signed by the treasurer, but it shouldn't be long. And I can scan them. I can scan and fax them as soon as they're ready.
Please, because we've got a finance committee meeting tomorrow night. So,
Yeah, I can give you the numbers tomorrow.
okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening to Townsend's sob story about funding.
Pepperell appreciates it as well.
Thank you.
Christine gave a thumbs up if you didn't see it.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, everybody. All right, we're going to move on to petition for the reinstatement of middle school foreign language. We've had a group of citizens that have collected a number of signatures, are going to do a brief presentation. So I want to make sure we've got time for the committee to have any discussion. So I'm going to yield my time to Jennifer Kingsbury, who is going to present once I make this change.
Craig,
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify the format. Is this like a public comment where we simply listen and aren't allowed to discuss, or I just wanted to set expectations with the group?
Yep. So this is an agenda item. So this is on the agenda. I'm essentially yielding my time to a handful of citizens who are going to do a presentation that you all have and hopefully have reviewed. I've set the expectation of about 15 minutes to present and have some Q&A. And also that the expectation will likely be, just due to the complexity of this issue, that we'll need to refer this somewhere for some follow-up, whether that be the administration, a working group, et cetera. Not expecting us to resolve things tonight, just again, because of the widespread impacts of complexities, I should say, of this discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I will turn it over to Ms. Kingsbury. I can see your screen, but I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll jump right in. The school committee are our representatives. As such, we're here to let you know what we want. Just as you are our representatives, we represent the 611 residents who have signed our petition. Though we're meeting via Zoom, imagine all 611 of us packed into the auditorium in support of in-person middle school foreign language instruction. I've already cited the 611 people who signed it. I'm actually going to read the wording of the petition now. Petition for reinstatement of 7th and 8th grade in-person foreign language instruction at Hawthorne Brook and Nissitissit Middle Schools of the North Middlesex Regional School District. We, the undersigned townspeople of Ashby, Pepperell, and Townsend, wish to compel the North Middlesex Regional School District to reinstate live in-person middle school foreign language instruction, which was eliminated as of the current 2021-2022 school year. This change was implemented without a school committee vote, without substantive stakeholder input, and without subsequent district-wide notification in the superintendent's biweekly newsletter. In a once robust program in which foreign language was taught in grades 5 through 8, now the only foreign language instruction offered to NMRSD middle school students is a remote virtual Spanish class for 8th graders. Several people who were rebuffed one by one after having approached the middle school principals, the superintendent of schools, or the school committee about this topic have banded together to sign and gather signatures for this petition to convey the widespread community support for middle school foreign language instruction. We urge the North Middlesex Regional School District Superintendent and School Committee to reinstate 7th and 8th grade in-person foreign language instruction to the curriculum of Hawthorne Brook and Nissitissit Middle Schools. While collecting the signatures, I received a lot of feedback about languages that used to be offered in the district. Many were disappointed that American Sign Language and Mandarin had been discontinued at the high school level. French and Spanish both used to be offered in the middle school. I'm not sure when French was discontinued, but Spanish went from being offered in grades 5 through 8 to just 7 and 8 in the fall of 2015. Many expressed that kids should begin learning a second language in elementary school. Most were shocked that the middle school foreign language positions had been cut. However, the most consistent theme across the board was simply thank you for doing this. And now I'll hand off to Jennifer Griffith.
Jen, real quick, can you just provide your address, and then Jen Griffith, can you do the same before you speak, please?
Yep, Jennifer Kingsbury, 2 Brandon's Way, Pepperell, Mass.
Jennifer Griffith, 4 Willow Street. I just want to quickly tell you what led to this petition. We are a group of parents with children of different ages and in different schools who banded together in support of a common concern. Our primary objective tonight is to reinstate the middle school foreign language program, but we also have concerns about how the process that led to the decision. It went from a proposal in January 2021 to a decision by March. As a parent of a current 7th grader, I was not notified and did not even find out about the elimination of the middle school foreign language program until August, when Spanish was not on my son's schedule. I contacted the middle school principal and I was told that this was discussed at length the previous year and that a letter was sent to parents. This was surprising to me as I follow the Nissitissit newsletter, the blog, the superintendent updates, and I did not receive a letter. We were given multiple reasons of why the Spanish program was eliminated. Those included the inability to attract and retain qualified Spanish teachers, a desire to prioritize STEM, and that not many high school students were taking AP Spanish. Our response to those reasons include how many positions were unfilled and for how long? What did the district do to actively recruit qualified candidates? If the district had difficulty finding math or science teachers, I really doubt that those programs would be eliminated. The school seems to be prioritizing technology at the expense of foreign languages, but they are not mutually exclusive. I saw one study that showed math and verbal SAT scores climbed higher with each additional year of world language study. The district eliminated a core subject that was offered 5 days a week and replaced it with 3 days of Patriot time, which to my knowledge is a study hall, 1 day of drama, and only 1 day of technology. We feel that something as significant as a curriculum change demands the involvement of the entire school community. It's not only parents of current middle schoolers who care about middle school curriculum. And lastly, as Jen mentioned, this is not the first time there were cuts to the middle school foreign language program. When it was cut in 2015 to just 7th and 8th grade, no one spoke up or protested. The trend of gutting the foreign language program is very troubling, and we are here to reverse the trend. You can see from the response to the petition that people do care about middle school foreign language education. And I'm going to pass this off to Eric just to speak to why foreign language education is so important.
Hi, my name is Eric Piper, and I live at 12 Bancroft Street in Pepperell. And I think there are a lot of intrinsic benefits to studying world languages, but the reality is our students are competing for college placement against students with stronger language backgrounds. And when they graduate, those students are entering a job market where language skills are an important asset. So for example, in STEM, STEM fields depend on global exchange. The products and the people involved are all over the world speaking different languages. And in public sector fields like healthcare, the police, and private industry, both of those fields need people who can speak foreign languages. Another benefit of reintroducing world languages to middle school is that it would bring us in line with nearby school districts. So all of the school districts that we researched offer world languages in the middle schools. In the Boston area, they often start even earlier in elementary school. So Westford, for example, offers 4 languages starting in the 6th grade. Groton and Hollis offer world languages starting in 7th grade. So our students should have the same education level and experiences to help them be successful as these nearby students, but instead we're being left behind in an area that the state of Massachusetts defines as a core subject. And you can see on the next slide, this is a framework that the state put together. It understands world languages as a core subject, and has developed guides for pre-K through 12th grade. So I'm going to turn things over to Roy now.
Roy, are you there? Is Roy unmuted?
He is,
Can you hear me now?
there we go. Yep.
Yes.
All right, sorry. So these, Roy Philbrick, 2 Chamberlain Way, Preble, Mass. So there's a lot of slides coming up. That the slide that we're just on, or these coming slides, are links to pages from the NMS blog describing activities done by the 7th grade Spanish class in previous years. So this is just research we did online that showed how Spanish had a reaction to a core class assembly. So the 7th graders described themselves anonymously in writing. Then their classmates played 20 questions to guess who it was. 8th graders brought in Hispanic dishes for an authentic potluck meal and fiesta. The teacher, I believe at the time, was Senora McLean, had a store set up in her classroom. 7th graders practiced a real life scenario of shopping, inquiring how much something costs and paying for it in Spanish currency. Now, these are fun activities and practical skills that aren't part of a virtual class. So we feel like not a wide enough segment of the community had input before the proposal to eliminate in-person instruction was conceived. We know that the proposal was made January 4th, 2021. We do not know what happened from there or by whom it was approved. When it was approved, we were notified the same small sample who was surveyed, i.e. the parents of the 7th graders may have been notified because of the 5-day per week core class they had in 7th wouldn't be offered to them in 8th grade. So I just want to, sum things up how, there's been multiple emails sent out for Adopt a Spot program in the blogs and the newsletters and stuff like that. And we just feel the public was never notified about this at all. So this whole survey, like Jen was saying, and others have, come to light, is like, we are the ones informing the public that there's no language at the middle schools other than what is provided at Patriot Time. So moving on, there's a bunch of other slides that offer support for a language and why it's important at the very end of this of the slides. And I don't want to go through all of them because there's a lot, but it's just stuff that I think we all feel is relevant to the program. It seems like it was successful, and then there's teachers that couldn't be found, or I don't know what happened, but I just feel that going forward, I mean, our main core value of NMS core value number 5 is we respect the diversity in all forms. And I just don't know how well we're doing on this diversity topic if we're not even offering a language in our classrooms for the kids to be taught. So I don't know, what else I could say to help get this through. And that's the conclusion that I have on the presentation.
All right. Was that it, Jennifer?
Okay, so yep, that's the end of the formal presentation, yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all your efforts to bring this forward. I also appreciate the way in which you brought this forward. It was much appreciated. So thank you.
Okay, so at this point, do I stop sharing my screen and everything, or do you take care of that?
Yeah, I think if you can do it. I don't know if I do this, what that does. There we go. All right. So now for the committee or members of the administration, my own opinion, I don't think we can solve this issue in this meeting. So I want to make sure that folks have all the information that they need, and again, up to the committee, but that we potentially, whether we refer this to a working group or to the administration for a more formal response and understanding of what the core issues are and what the options are to return this. And then I did have a question on the signatures of the petition, if we should work to certify those or take them as is. So that was another question that we can contemplate and decide on. So I'll start with Ms. Milligan, who got her hand up first.
Hi, we thank you for providing that presentation over the weekend. The administration has put together some background information that just might be helpful from our perspective. Okay.
Sure.
Let me. Okay. For the 22-23 school year, the North Middlesex Middle Schools recommend to continue offering the live Spanish 1 course to our 8th grade students using a provider, World of Language. Our current model moved our Spanish program from 2 years of instruction to 1, allowing students to continue to reach Spanish 2 for their freshman year. Our online program offers a certified Spanish teacher meeting with students for instruction, which is something that was important to us, but we were unable to obtain the needed number of teachers in our area. The program is available to all students who are interested, as it occurs during Patriot Time and/or the Unified Arts Block. We continue to make adjustments based on feedback from the students and instructors to maximize the experience for our students. We feel that this model could expand offerings beyond Spanish for interested students. Therefore, to clarify, North Middlesex did not cut or eliminate the Spanish program as indicated on some social media platforms. We offer Spanish 1 in grade 8 with a certified Spanish teacher, which includes 2 days of live instruction and 1 to 3 days of application skills development, depending on the teacher's recommendation and students' needs. Students may enter Spanish 2 with successful completion of this course, similar to their prior programming. Each year, the model will be evaluated and revised similarly to other courses in the district. The data that we considered to make this decision. With the lack of certified viable Spanish teachers, we needed an option to maintain programming in North Middlesex. The pandemic created many new opportunities for districts to engage with. Since 2014, we have had 7 Spanish openings at the middle school level, filling 5 of them. None of the teachers hired during that time are in the district at this time. 2 remained unfilled. We are not attracting nor retaining teachers in our area. Since 2017, we had 18 candidates apply for the open positions. 4 were licensed, and of those 4, we interviewed 3 and none were suitable for our positions. Once we knew this and used online programs during the 2020-21 school year, we then surveyed the grade 7 families about their experience with both online and in-person instruction. Only 25 of the 161 responded to the prompt, "Would you want an online program for grade 8?" as no. Others would consider it if another online program was considered and had live instruction. We also were provided input from alumni regarding areas in which they felt NM did not fully prepare them for, with the majority of responses coming from STEM fields as needing additional programming at the middle school level and a pathway before high school. We also were able to gather information about other middle school world language programs. There are many different programming options and models offered in other districts. Middle school programming models include language over 2 years, every other day, 1 trimester of exposure, such as the value of language, 2 quarters of exposure into an intro class in grade 7 with nothing in grade 8, introduction once in a 6-day cycle, 1 language each quarter in grade 7 and 8 to full year courses. This was based on 78 districts who responded to our survey. 7 out of the 78 middle schools in the state on the survey showed that they do not have any foreign language offerings. 5 districts this year posted that they could not fill any middle school world language positions and could not find viable candidates. Unfortunately, we do believe that our communication that focused only on 7th grade families and students who had started in the mixed model and needed programming for grade 8 might have been a detriment to our 6th grade students. We need not to make this a district. We did not make this a district-wide announcement, though, as it only impacted grade 8 to start to see how to finish the programming. Also, our focus was to find a solution for Spanish 1 at the middle school without eliminating it completely. As stated, the timeline of events included sending an email to the 7th grade parents in December of 2020 about their experience with the students were having with Spanish, virtual and in person. We did not send anything to the upcoming parents as we were not going to utilize the same company based on what we saw students needing and included live instruction. We already spent the fall speaking to other districts about effective world language online programs with live instruction and had backup plans if the survey supported the shift. We did a presentation to school committee in early January, and parents of the middle schools were informed on March 26, 2021 of the programming and company we felt could meet the needs of our students to maintain a robust Spanish offering that led to our high school program. Parent coffees were held in April for the middle schools for any questions. Therefore, impacted parents were surveyed, informed, and able to ask questions about the programming for grade 7 into grade 8. Based on this year's enrollment of only 5 students, we do not see the need to change this model. Students and families are able to choose if Spanish is important to them in the middle school and be offered live instruction. The feedback from the current program is positive for the families involved. If we wanted to move back to hiring Spanish teachers for North Middlesex, we would need 50 students at each building interested in bringing back 1 teacher. We have created thresholds to know when to post and to move in this direction. That being said, it would still be contingent upon finding certified teachers. There are no waves of new world language teachers coming out of our universities. According to the data from the most recent publicly available US government data compiled by Data USA, in 2019, there were 306,739 education degrees conferred in the United States. Of those degrees, 257 nationally were foreign language education degrees. To compare, there were 39,946 elementary education degrees, 4,575 music education degrees, 715 industrial arts degrees awarded. The majorities of these degrees were completed in schools in the Southern United States, and fewer than 30 of these students came from New England. Our program is responsive and creative. We are not denying any student an option to take world language. We are offering options for parents. Although you have 611 community signatures, we also have parents that are thankful for the flexibility with our requirement that many also struggled with. This opportunity may grow into other languages for both the middle and high schools beyond what we have traditionally been able to offer. We will continue to watch enrollment, participation, satisfaction, and adjust to the current needs of our students, districts, and hiring opportunities. As a side note, based on the presentation, there are 2 points of clarification. North Middlesex only offered Spanish in grades 5 and 6 for 1 year in 2014 and 15 because we had low numbers in grades 7 and 8, and we wanted to keep our teachers fully employed and not have to reduce them to a 0.8 schedule. I wasn't able to talk to Groton Dunstable today, but after you cited Westford, I was able to talk to the assistant superintendent for curriculum, and she does offer 4 languages that have been in place for over a decade, and she's had no hiring concerns because she hasn't had any turnover in staff. So they have different reasons and models of why they're doing what they're doing, but we just wanted to give you a sense of, from our perspective, what brought us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Craig, can I just add something?
Yeah, please.
I did just want to add, just with regard to posting, the foreign language jobs are posted just like everything else. And unfortunately, 2 years ago when the jobs were actually open, we had a very small number of licensed candidates. And unfortunately, the people that are licensed and available in many cases for a reason. And most of them had spent 1 year in one district, another year in another district, and were unable to maintain a job. And those were the licensed candidates that we had available to look at. So the pool itself is very, very small, but the licensed people that are available tend to be people that have bounced around quite a bit.
Thank you. Anybody from the committee have comments, questions? Susan? Susan, you're muted.
Thank you, Craig. They're not letting me go too long. Nancy, I apologize if you covered this, but I know a comment was made regarding Patriot Time. Could you just recap real quick for the public a little bit more about what Patriot Time is and the benefit to the students?
Sure. The Patriot Time is a block of time that we allow students to get what they need. So it could be enrichment, or it could be remediation. It could be band and chorus. It could be a variety of different options for students. So it happens over 3 days a week. And 2 of those 3 days would be assigned for the World Language Program, as we did it this year, because that is the model that is recommended from World of Language, with 2 days of live instruction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else, questions or comments? Susan, is your hand still up or is it back up?
It's back up.
Okay.
No, I just, the frustrating part, right, of any of these situations is it's all a balance, like a balancing act. There are so many opportunities that I would like to offer our students. And it's extremely frustrating that we can't offer 7th and 8th grade students the world language. Heck, I wish we could start back in kindergarten and add world language to the curriculum. I have a list of things I would love to add to the curriculum, and it is extremely frustrating that we can't do this. I understand the constraints. Wish as I might that it could work, but I understand why it doesn't. It's maddening. Thank you.
So this, Robbins, just to clarify, using the World of Language program, our students are getting to the same end result at the end of grade 8 as they have in previous years. With the World of Language instructional program, they will get the full Spanish 1 curriculum, which would enable them to go to Spanish 2. So on top of being able to get world language, they'd be able to also get all the other opportunities because of the model that we're choosing.
Got it. Okay. So I was having trouble hearing you at the beginning of when you were talking, and I fixed my technical issues on this end.
Oh,
That's why I started with apologizing. You may have already said this.
Jessica?
I think that if the committee is going to entertain this idea or go down this road, I think that we should definitely get those names certified by the town clerks.
Susan?
Does having the name certified or not change anything? Well, it absolutely shows support, and I would encourage the public to do this on any issue they are concerned about, but I don't believe it's a binding sort of petition. So I just hate to ask the town clerks to do that if it doesn't really change the outcome. And I mean, I don't mean any disrespect to the 611 people that signed it. And I want to absolutely encourage the public to continue to take strong positions and bring that to us so that we're more in tune with what's of interest to the public. That was my only comment on the certification.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think it just depends on what as a committee, our intent is. If we are in agreement that we need to explore what's possible and clarify some of the explanation and pursue pursue this, then I think that's fine. If not, and we're using the petition to drive that, then perhaps we should, just because if that's the main driver, then we want to make sure that that again, that the residents are the ones that are asking for this. So that would be my only guidance. I personally don't have a strong preference, but Ms. Milligan.
Thank you. I'm all about civil action and promoting this and showing students exactly how this works as well. The only issue I do have with the petition is that it does advocate for bringing back 5 through 8 Spanish, but we didn't have 5 through 8 Spanish at any point in time. So the petition is based on the understanding that we're going to bring Spanish back or foreign language back 5 through 8. And we've historically had it in 7s and 8s. So that's just a little bit of clarification with people signed up for and what actually would be proposed.
Jennifer, I was just going to call on you. I think you're going to clarify what I was going to ask you, so go for it.
Yeah, the petition actually is just asking for 7th and 8th
In person.
reinstating in-person 7th and 8th grade world language instruction.
Thank you. All right, Tom.
I was just going to say, so what, I mean, I know you mentioned next steps. I don't want to cut anybody off if other people want to speak, but what do we want to do moving forward?
That's the $1 million question. So I'll try to summarize this as generally as I can. We've had a group of citizens with a petition ask us to take action on something. There are probably reasons why we may not be able to do what's being asked, and there may be creative ways to find ways to do what's being asked. I don't know. So I think it's incumbent on us as the committee to recognize and acknowledge the work that's been done, the petition that's been provided, the presentation, and then decide on the next step in terms of what are we going to do? Are we going to again refer this to a working group, refer this just to the administration? Is there a specific ask that we as a committee want? Do we want to find a way and make it very prescriptive and say, hey, we want XYZ? Or again, address the points that were brought up in the presentation. I think there's a whole slice of different things that we can do and ways to approach it. So I think it's up to us, someone on the committee, to maybe make a motion on what they'd like to see, and we can go from there. Randy?
Yeah, first I'd like to just say that I am very much in support of foreign language, and I do appreciate the community coming forward with their concerns. That is what we are here for. We are trying to do the best that we can for the students. As far as this issue, I think the first steps that we may need to do is just maybe have the administration clarify in writing everything that's going on, because it sounds like we do have some in-person language going on or instruction going on for foreign language. There is some availability. I don't think it's well understood, and I think it's evolving as we try and find better ways to do it. So I think the very first thing is just communication. So I would like to move that the administration put together a written description of what our world language program in the middle school looks like today, and maybe some of the areas they're trying to get to, what do they hope to accomplish in coming years with some changes as they can find better programs. I think once we all have all the facts together, we can take a look at it and see if more is needed, if this satisfies things for now, and then if the committee wants to move in a different direction. So again, I want to move that we direct the administration to put together an explanation and description of what's going on currently.
Second that wholeheartedly. That's a great idea, Randy. I wish I would have thought of it.
Randy and Susan, Superintendent Morgan.
Just wanted to add, again, from the administration's point of view, this is not about devaluing foreign language at all. It really is about really two things in moving forward, that there's not much confidence on our end in being able to fill the positions if they were to come back. And there would be a very strong likelihood that we would have potentially day-to-day subs in those positions. The other piece that we have to consider is that we would need to look at the budget again. If we are reinstating a full foreign language program, it would likely have an impact on the budget for FY23 as well. That being said, there really is not a lot of confidence that we would actually be able to fill the positions with licensed, qualified teachers. Just based on past experience, and I'm sure all of you have heard that, that they are bracing for a turnover in teachers this year who are planning, in the next couple of years to leave the profession. So I do think it's going to become more challenging to find teachers in general, not just foreign language, but that would obviously become even more challenging than it has been in years past.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hi, I just wanted to say something in answer to something that Randy Rush had asked. She asked that the administration clarify what is happening now for the program. There is no in-person instruction right now. There's virtual instruction. There are no middle school teachers in our district. What's offered now is a virtual program. There is some classroom time dedicated to it virtually.
So
From an outside.
You're absolutely correct. There is no live person on site, but we do have a live instructor, certified Spanish instructor, which was different than during COVID. So those students do meet with a certified Spanish teacher, which was something we couldn't offer in person.
Ms. Milligan, is that a Spanish teacher who's obviously remote? Are they teaching just to our students, or are they teaching to? Okay, so it's just our students they're teaching to at that time period.
And we are having a presentation on March 28th for the middle school parents that to try to bolster those numbers for enrollment. So that would be something that the school committee could also attend to listen to the live presentation.
And you said that is this a pilot for 8th grade with plans to expand to 7th if it goes well, or is this?
So right now the Spanish program is Spanish 1 all-inclusive in a grade level. We had always done it over 2 years. That was our model to spread it out. World of Language feels that the middle school level at grade 8, it's best for 2 days of instruction and having up to 3 days of application, and then being able to contact the teacher with any application concern. So it's more application and project based after the live instruction.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent, is your hand still up or back up? All right, Susan, same question.
It is back up, but I'm fine if Jennifer wants to go ahead of me.
Okay. Jennifer?
I was just going to say that basically what's offered now, what the kids had until the middle school instructors were cut this current year, 7th and 8th graders had Spanish 5 days per week, and now 8th graders get it a couple times per week. I would not call that equivalent.
But we're getting to the same outcomes. So we'll make sure that the presentation is on the next superintendent's update if you'd like to attend.
Susan?
I am back. I think it was very helpful to me to hear, well, from what I could hear of Nancy's explanation. I don't know, I think posting something on our website, whether it was a transcript of what Nancy said, whether it's like an FAQ, and have a section that's dedicated to that, and perhaps allow community members, or at least those that were leading this effort, to ask additional questions that we could then, that weren't covered in what we post, so that we can continue to clarify. I think what it's important is to focus on the future. The past has happened. There were some good things in the past. There were some unfortunate things in the past, but it doesn't really change the future. So, perhaps if we focus on what the plan will be for next year and for going forward, perhaps even to clarify what's happening this year is probably beneficial, even though the year is winding down. But I think certainly a lesson learned from this process is communication, finding a better way to inform the community and the parents about plans. I think otherwise, people just assume it's going to be the way it always is, which is what I would do. So in an effort to kind of correct that aspect anyway.
Thank you, Susan. Randy, are you all set or you're good? Jennifer?
I guess if there's one thing that I would really like to stress from this whole thing about the communication process is that it is really not only the parents of current middle schoolers who care about the middle school curriculum. It's people who have yet to come to middle school. It's really the community at large, not even just people with kids who are there now, and not even just people who have children are going to come through. People still care about the curriculum, even if their kids have aged out of the system. They want,
taxpayers. Yes.
That's it.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, any other last comments? We do have the motion to basically have the administration put together just a description of the current world language program in the middle schools and the areas that they're trying to get to / accomplish in the coming years. All right. Seeing no more comments. Jess?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so that is unanimous. Jessica, did you want to make a motion on the point that you brought up about signatures, or are you good?
So I work in the town clerk's office in Townsend, full disclosure. I would not be certifying these names, Kathy would. But I think that if we're going to be doing something that's going to be adding a lot of money to the budget, I just want to be sure that these people are from Ashby, Townsend, or Pepperell, because we have lots of nomination papers and petitions that get, signed by people that are not even here. They're out of Leominster, Medford, like other places that, so I just think that if we're going to entertain that idea, that I would want to be more sure that the majority of them is from the actual district is kind of my point.
I did recognize a lot of names, but I understand you've probably had past experiences with situations where you were less than pleased when they went and got certified.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm confident looking at the names that most of these people are in district, but I understand the desire to do that.
I'll take that as a motion, Jessica. Do I have a
yes,
do I have a
please.
Second? All right, I will second that if no one else will second that. Any further questions or comments on the certification of signatures?
No, I'm probably going to vote yes to be supportive of my fellow committee members, but it is by no means me doubting the legitimate activities here. If that's, I'm not saying it right, but I think y'all know what I mean. And I know that's not what Jess means. She's just had other experiences with petitions being in her current role, so I understand.
It's due diligence. It's right. It's not a statement for or against anything. It's or what anybody's done. It's just doing our due diligence. Jennifer, do you have a comment on the signature piece?
Yeah, I do. Hopefully the way we organize the petition, it should, if you want to go ahead and verify the signatures. It should be easy. We kept the pages. I think you've seen the signed
Yes.
pages, if Craig showed them to you. We kept
Yes.
the pages so that everybody from Ashby was signing sheets that were all Ashby people. Everybody from Townsend was on. So we kept it separate that way. Not even that I expected you to do that, but if you wanted to do that, I think it should be easier that way. And we did, hopefully, we were diligent. I always asked people if they were a registered voter in those towns, and, you know, they would say, and we did turn away a lot of people who would say, you know, maybe grandparents who have kids in the district who were picking up or dropping off or whatever. And we did turn away people, we tried to turn away the people who weren't registered in the 3 towns. So hopefully, hopefully the process is easy on your end for ratifying.
Some people are embarrassed to say that they're not. As I found getting papers signed to run for school committee.
All right,
So
any
there's-
other questions on the signatures? All right, I'm going to catch Tom off guard. Tom?
Not that off guard. Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. So that is also.
Do you have to be a registered voter to sign a petition like this, or just a resident?
It says right on the petition itself, I don't know if you noticed that in 2 spots, that it does say on that petition that was provided in the packet that you had to be a registered voter. But for this, I'm not really sure you absolutely have to be, but if we're certifying names, then you might have to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Technicalities, but yeah.
Yes.
Jennifer, do you have one final comment?
Yeah, so, I worded the petition. I did write on there that people should be registered voters. One of the reasons I did that was to make sure that the people who were signing this were people of the member towns of the district, but also so that nobody would say that I was like, you know, coercing kids to sign or anything. Like, I really tried to make sure that it was registered voters who were adults, you know, just so nobody would think I was twisting kids' arms like, hey, you know, sign this or whatever. So, and that's all. So anyway,
even if it, yeah.
So it does say, you know, people who signed, you know, they were signing that they were registered voters. So.
Okay. Even if it turns out that only 100 people are registered voters, it doesn't change how we approach this. If there's not some magic number, well, 500 people didn't say they were interested, so we're not going to look at it. I mean, that's not.
I agree, Susan. I agree. I definitely agree. It's not my intent to, you know, this. It's no, but I just want to be sure.
Yes.
That, like Craig said, we're doing our due diligence. That's all.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, no offense taken at all.
If a dozen people came forward and were passionate about something and made a presentation, we're still going to be sitting here listening.
Yeah.
I don't want to discourage people in the future to say, well, I wasn't able to get X number of signatures, so forget it. I think if there's a group of people that are passionate, it should be heard.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so Ms. Kingsbury, Ms. Griffith, Mr. Piper, Mr. Philbrick, really appreciate you bringing this forward and gone through some of the meetings we went through last year. Really appreciate the way in which you brought it forward. So thank you very much. And I guess have a good night at this point. So we're going to continue on with our agenda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to new business. If folks don't mind, we can take the NMS chorus and North Middlesex softball out-of-state travel requests together, if that's all right with people.
Are you looking for a motion, Craig?
Craig, I'm not sure that the out-of-state travel for the softball is needed anymore.
It is not.
Okay.
I found out that this afternoon.
We will pull that and just do the chorus. And yes, Lisa, if you were asking, we do need a motion on that.
I'm looking for the language. Do you have the language in front of you? Craig?
Yep, I can read it. So looking for a motion that the school committee vote to approve students enrolled in the Nissitissit Middle School Chorus to travel to Manchester, New Hampshire to perform at the Delta Dental Stadium on Saturday, June 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any questions? I don't know, Ms. Young, if there's anything you need to provide on this one, or seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, I think it's self-explanatory. They're going to sing the national anthem and a couple other songs if it's approved.
Awesome. All right. Anybody have any questions? All right. So Jess?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan? Susan is muted. Susan's a thumbs up, yes. Tom?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that is unanimous.
And yes, it's my verbal in case you
There
need
we
it.
go. Awesome. And good luck to the NMS chorus singing the national anthem. That's fantastic. Next, we have the 2022-23 school calendar.
Sure. So just a slight adjustment. Some of us were going back and forth, meaning some of my colleagues and I were going back and forth towards the end of last week on January 2nd, and whether or not we could hold school on that day. It's pretty specific that it's for federal employees only. But then Massachusetts takes it up another notch, so to speak, and basically does push for it. DESE pushes for it to be a day off for all school employees. So that would basically be, in the calendar has been updated in your packet. So on Monday, January 2nd, there would be no school, and that does bump the last day of school to June 12th as opposed to the 9th. So it moves from Friday, June 9th to Monday, the 12th. And then the backup day with 5 days built in would be Tuesday, the 20th, because Juneteenth is on Monday, the 19th, which is also a no school day. So this has already gone through each of the collective bargaining groups has seen it. I passed it on to you. The admin team has seen it. And this is our recommended calendar for the 2022-2023 school year.
So we're hoping for 4 days or less on snow days.
Excuse me?
I was just joking around, saying we're hoping snow days are 4 days or less.
Yes.
So the bump into the next week.
Exactly. We'll bump into the next Tuesday.
Right.
Is there for the January 12th, which is a Thursday, is there a reason that day, that half day or that wait starts a Thursday, not a Wednesday, like the other half day and wait starts? I'm just curious if that's because of a program that's offered that day, or.
Nancy, do you know offhand? I'm going to guess that it was a conflict, that there was a conflict and we had to move it for a reason. We wouldn't have just moved it just to move it. I'm guessing that there was an issue on the 11th.
Okay.
I can't recall.
Okay, I was just curious because it just seemed odd that all the others were Wednesdays.
What month was it?
January 12th.
No, I don't. I'm wondering if it's a typo.
Do you typically try and do Wednesdays for all the days, or?
We do. I'd have to go back and look at my original draft. Robin, do you have the original draft with the list of dates?
I don't have it with me.
I do.
But
I have it up right now. No, it was the 12th on the original, and I don't know why.
I did get comments and tried to honor the comments that I got.
I'm wondering if it was just because this year was a 12th, and I'm wondering when we copied the dates over, that one didn't get updated effectively. That's my guess. This year, January 12th was a Wednesday, so I'm thinking it was an oversight. We just saw a date in January and kept going. Yeah.
Do we want to move that to the 11th, or does the administration need time to just validate that?
I'm looking right now. I'm just checking the date.
Yeah, this year, January 12th was a
So,
Wednesday.
yep. Okay.
But I know I also, when I was flipping through on my phone, sometimes I wasn't in the right year because I kept scrolling in the wrong direction. So.
No, you know what? I don't have anything on that date. So it may just be a typo. And for some reason, I can't see the history of comments on that date. So we can move it to the 11th for sure. It's not a problem.
And then I don't know, Robin, if I would just send this to you, I just had a couple formatting issues, changes.
Sure.
That I'll just send you, like the December 24th and 31st are color coded when those are weekends. So just minor things like that.
Yep, just send them along. I'll make the updates, Craig, no problem.
All right, I appreciate that. My OCD kicks in, so.
Well, you can imagine when you're looking at the dates,
Oh.
so it's a team effort, definitely.
Oh, it makes me dizzy looking at it, so I don't know how you guys do it.
We have an OCD competition, Craig.
You want it? Let's go. All
Are you
right.
looking for a motion, Craig?
Yeah, yes, please.
I make a motion to accept the 2022-23 school year calendar with the revisions that Craig has suggested to Robin, and moving January 12th to the 11th for a half day.
Second.
Lisa and Tom, any other questions or comments on the calendar? All right, just give me a minute to open up the Disney website so I can book my vacation before we actually approve this and be first in line here. Jess?
Yes.
June? June.
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so that is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Next, we have the Keystone Educational Collaborative Lease. Superintendent Morgan.
So this is more of an informational type thing to make sure that the committee is still on board with Keystone. But in essence, they are going to move their middle school to another location, which is going to put them closer to the Keystone headquarters, so to speak, their home base. Especially with the majority of their students coming from Leominster, Fitchburg, Gardner. So that will vacate the 4 classrooms that they are using on the second floor of Squanicook. They do want to maintain the classrooms down below, as well as the office, the cafeteria, and the gymnasium for one more, for basically one more lease cycle. And I thought that the safest thing to do for the district would be to offer them a 3-year lease as opposed to a 5. Their ultimate goal is to get closer to where their home base is with all of their schools. They are looking for property that's closer to their home base in Leominster. And that's likely going to occur within the next 3 years anyway. And we also may need to have the flexibility of the space for any type of projects that are going on in the district. You know, for instance, if something were to happen at Hawthorne Brook at some point in time and we needed those classrooms to house students, we would need that flexibility. So for the time being, what they're basically asking for is a 3-year lease minus the 4 classrooms on the second level. We're obviously going to look at how those 4 classrooms can be utilized within the district, whether it means expanding our preschool program or some other potential ideas, but just wanted to put that out there to make sure that the committee was amenable to that and okay with us moving forward with having a lease drafted to bring to you probably at our April meeting. Just also wanted to add that all the lease rates are set by the Keystone executive board. So it's not something where if we were looking to increase the price, and we do have one of the higher prices now that they are currently paying, we would have to get permission from the entire board in order to increase the lease price. So recommendation would be to stay kind of in step with what the other districts are doing. And obviously I can check that out at our next board meeting, which will happen in a couple of weeks.
Oops. Susan?
How about if I let Tom go first? So
Sure,
I'm talking
Tom.
so much.
So generous, Susan. I just had a question about obviously having a lot of young guys coming through. So what is I know typically they have like the playground on site there, but I know when it was, you know, inclement weather or whatever, that they just ended up not having access to like the gym space or something like that. So I just want to make sure that our kids are taken care of too with this agreement. I know it was a concern.
Sure. So as far as the gym, that is not something we currently have access to, just because it's the middle school and the elementary school was a part of the lease agreement. I would imagine that we could work something out now that the middle school programming is leaving to give us some gym availability as part of the new lease.
Okay, yeah, even, you know, I'm just thinking as they're vacating 4 spaces or whatever, you know, maybe we can look at something like that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Susan?
Yes, we also have some students from the collaborative renting rooms at the high school. Is this the same group?
They're not at the high school any longer.
Okay. So
That
only
ended
involves,
last year.
okay, I missed that. So it only involves the kids at Squanicook.
Yes.
Thank you.
High school needed the classrooms this year.
Any other questions, comments? Just to clarify, Superintendent, you don't need a vote. You're just
Just to make sure that the committee's okay with the 3-year lease for us to go through the process of having John Foskett draft up a lease and send it over to Keystone. If the committee's not amenable to 3 years, then what would you be amenable to? It's going to essentially be the same lease that we currently have, unless the pricing structure is changed within the collaborative, which I don't believe it has.
So are they asking for the lease and asking for 3 years?
The 3 years was what we discussed, just because, again, we do have an out with the lease, but we really don't want to put them in a situation where they don't have a home and we need the space. And I can't imagine anything that we would do in the next 3 years that would generate the need for us to take over Squanicook, for instance, because anything that we do is going to take time to plan. Studies would need to be done and things of that nature for any type of accelerated repair or building project, and that's going to take time. Probably more than 3 years. I believe it's 5 to 7 to do any type of project like that as far as planning from start to the groundbreaking. So I think 3 years makes sense. And again, their goal within 3 years is to be moving on closer to their home base with all of their programming. So they were comfortable with it.
Craig and Lisa can tell you how long it takes to get projects done.
just a little while.
They're still not done.
Still not done.
Hey, we're getting closer on ours. I do have an update.
Yeah.
I think we're getting further away on ours, judging by recent emails.
Sorry.
That's all right. So no objections to the superintendent moving forward. Then we will look forward to updated lease.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to subcommittee reports, accelerator repair, Lisa.
I do have an update. MSBA or MS, whatever the acronym is.
It is.
Anyway, they're looking at it. They're reviewing it. We're hoping for a closeout soon, but we will see. And
Excellent.
that's all I have on accelerated.
Very nice. Building committee, as I alluded to, we're just a recent warranty issue coming up at the high school. So superintendent and team are working through that. And that project is still open. So hopefully get
Warranty,
that.
aren't warranty issues just something, we don't need a building project open to deal with warranty.
No, we don't.
issue, do we?
We don't. No, not at all.
Yeah, just
But the
Oscar can
project is
deal.
still open.
Yeah.
Finance, Lisa?
We gave our updates earlier, but we do have another meeting scheduled for March 29th.
Perfect. Negotiation, Tom, anything?
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Policy, Randy, we got a marathon going on here.
Yes, but I'm going to make it group things together and make this very quick. So just in general, all of the D policies are ones that came up in our 5-year review. Actually, I take that back. It's part of the finance folder that MASC revamped their entire fiscal folder. So this is, I think, just about all of them that we're going to have on the table. There may be 1 or 2 stragglers that I need to just verify and see. So most of these are just updated for what MASC did for new laws and things like that. You will notice that some of them have repeat letters with a -1 after it. What that is to clarify, there are some of these policies that are very different for town districts and regional districts. And so in order to, because there's different processes and that you need to look at, MASC has separated them out. As in like the first 2 here, like DBJ in their policy now is strictly for town districts, and the -1 addresses the regional district issues. And so we're going to be going over to what MASC has for their can't even say nomenclature, their letterclature. And so the first motion I'm going to make is that upon adoption of the -1 equivalent, we are going to rescind the following policies. And that would be DBJ Regional School District Budget Transfer Authority, DB Regional School District Annual Budget, DBG Regional School District Budget Adoption Procedures, and DGA Regional School District Authorized Signatures. So again, upon adoption of the -1 versions, I'm making a motion to rescind these policies so that we don't have 2 at once.
Second.
All right, Randy and June, any questions, comments, discussion? All right, Jess?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. 1 down.
Now the rest of these policies are just up for a first reading. There are 2 modifications that I noticed late for this, so I do apologize. So on policy DBD, there's just a numbering issue. I will have that renumbered for the adoption end of things. And then DBJ-1, North Middlesex Regional School District didn't get put in there in the proper place. So I'll just add in where it says regional school district, I'll put in North Middlesex Regional School District. And then there's also JLCA, physical examinations and mandated health screenings for students. This was brought up from Catherine Hampson, that there was a process in that policy that we do not do. And so she helped me correct it for what the district actually does with athletic physicals. So it's just an update to what we currently do. So I will make a motion to approve for a first reading DBJ-1 Regional School District Budget Transfer Authority, DJE Procurement Requirements, JLCA, physical examinations and mandated health screenings for students. DA, fiscal management goals. DB-1, regional school district annual budget. DBD, budget planning. DBG, regional school district budget adoption procedures. Oh, sorry, DBG-1. Regional school district budget adoption procedures. DD, funding proposals and applications. DGA-1, regional school district authorized signatures, and DI, fiscal accounting and reporting. And that's all for a first reading.
Second.
All right, Randy and June, any questions, comments on those policies for first reading? All right, seeing none. Jess?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So those are out for a first reading, and folks can soon find those on the district website if you'd like to review and provide input or feedback. Anything else, Randy, from policy?
Just in the next week, I'm going to be reaching out to the members to get a date for the first regional agreement meeting, so we can start kicking that off and hopefully have something for the fall meetings at the town.
Excellent. And are the scope of that, is that just the kind of the 5-year rolling average that we've talked about? Or is it going to be
We
the
have to
full-
revamp the entire regional agreement. Again, if everyone remembers, 1972 was the last substantial modification, other than for the school committee membership that was changed. We don't even reference the ed reform of 94.
I may ask for mimeographed copies of the new version just for nostalgia's sake.
I don't know how many people remember that, but oh my gosh, I remember doing that, actually using a mimeograph machine in high school.
Yeah. Now I'm bringing back the smell all of a sudden. Thanks.
And please use a font of the old typewriter.
Yep. All right. Any other business from anybody? All right. Thank you, Susan. I will take a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Lisa and Jess. So Jess,
Yes.
June,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well. So we are adjourned, everybody. Have a good night. Appreciate all your time. Thank you.